Hey guys, it's Christy, and if you have been on BookTube for any amount of time over the past month, you have probably already heard about this readathon that I'm going to talk about. It's called Once Upon a Faebruary. So this readathon was created by Taylor from Tales and Treats with Tay, and I was so excited when she asked me to be a part of it because you guys know that I love fairy tales. I'm kind of obsessed. The majority of the books on my shelf are fairy tale retellings. I mean, to me, this is like the best readathon ever that could like possibly exist. And she asked a couple of other beautiful ladies as well. Reese from the writing Songbird, Celestria, Cat Stories, and Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails. So be sure to follow them on all of their channels. I draw my book. So make sure to follow them on all of their channels as well so you can just stay updated with the readathon, maybe get some really great recommendations for things you can read. I'm just so excited because all of the prompts in this readathon have to do with fairy tales. Now you don't have to read all fairy tale retellings for each prompt. You can read other genres as well, but we do ask that you include at least one fairy tale retelling just to make it legit. Not only do all the prompts have to do with fairy tales or fairy tale retellings, but you can sort of level up as you go. For example, if you complete just one prompt, you get to be a pixie. You'll actually receive a special graphic that you can put on your Instagram or other social media places that you have participated in this readathon and you are now a pixie. If you complete 7 prompts, you get to be a princess. And again, you will receive a beautiful little graphic that you can put somewhere, show the world that you participated in this readathon. And finally, if you complete 12 prompts, you get to be a fairy godmother who's like, you know, the best in all the fairy tales. So make sure that when you complete these prompts, you tag me and all of my beautiful co-hosts so that we can send you one of these awesome graphics to display. Also, we would love to see you guys make some YouTube videos as well. So if you do an Instagram post or something like that, or you make a YouTube video, feel free to tag us on them. We would love to see it. So now for all the prompts, and I have a few recommendations. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Red Rose, which is red on the cover. Now, I'm going to recommend this book, which is called The Traitor's Mask, and it is a Cinderella retelling, and it made my most unputdownable books of 2023 list, so it's very good. And you say, but Christy, this has all blue on the cover. Well, wouldn't you know that Kenley Davidson actually just recovered this book and she is wearing red on the cover. So that is why I'm going to recommend it for Red Rose. If you don't want to read a Cinderella retelling, I do have Crimson Claws by Abigail Manning, which is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. Very good, very suspenseful, and it's not that long either. So if you want something a little bit shorter, this is your girl. Fairy Godmother, a gender-flipped retelling. So for this one, I have The Desert Princess by Melanie Sellier, which is an Aladdin retelling. However, the main character is a girl who's sort of like the equivalent of Aladdin. She's like really poor, kind of like the street urchin kind of character. And she ends up meeting the prince. So that would be an example of a gender flipped retelling where the main character that you normally know in that retelling is replaced with the other gender. I personally loved this book and hopefully you'll like it too. Merry Men, a male main character. So for this one I have Becoming Hook, because in this story Captain Hook is the main character and he has a little romance with Tinkerbell, and this is a completely different spin on the story you know of Peter Pan, because in this story Hook is the good guy and Peter Pan is pretty evil. But this story, so good. Definitely recommend it. Evil Stepmother, a notorious villain. So for this prompt, I'm actually going to recommend 2 books that have evil stepmothers in them, which is A Dream of Ebony and White by Melanie Sellier. It's a Snow White retelling. And Shard of Glass by Emily Deity, another Cinderella retelling. So these tales have a notorious villain. They literally have an evil stepmother in them. So hey, pretty much any Snow White retelling or Cinderella retelling I think would fit this prompt, or really any fairy tale retelling that has a notorious villain would work. Pixie Dust featuring a magical creature. So for this one I have Princess of Mermaids, which just so happens to be my favorite Little Mermaid retelling of all time. And mermaids are magical creatures, so yes, here we go. And also I have another book that I want to recommend that is not a fairy tale retelling, but it's just a fantasy, and it features mermaids and dragons. This series also made my most unputdownable list of 2023. This book is about mermaids and dragons and the world they live in. It's its own world, it's a different world, not a Little Mermaid retelling like I said, but extremely entertaining and would definitely fit the prompt for magical creatures. Midnight, last to read a book. So I can't exactly give you a recommendation for this one because I don't know what you haven't read, but I know what I'm gonna read. So this one is considered my TBR. I'm going to read the book Cinder, and I just put it on hold at the library, so hopefully I can get it this weekend. I feel like everybody in the world has read this book but me. So this is the absolute perfect time for me to pick it up and finally read it. Bluebeard, a lesser known retelling, and for this one I have Married at Sunrise. Y'all, if you have not picked this series up, you have to. This is the time. This is the time because this book is so good. I've talked about it in so many videos. It's a King Thrushbeard retelling, and I had never even heard of that retelling until this year. And it was amazing. The tropes in this book are actually enemies to lovers and marriage of convenience. So you can just imagine the wonderful tension that is created. And I have to say, it is very well written. There is such a beautiful progression. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. And there's other things going on in the story as well that just make the plot so suspenseful outside of the romance that it is so good. So hopefully you guys can pick this up for this readathon because it is amazing. It is definitely worth it. Wolf, animal integral to the plot. So for this one, I mean, it's called Wolf, so you probably could pick up just about any Little Red Riding Hood retelling and that would work. But I also have one called The Secret Princess by Melanie Sellier, and there is actually a talking horse in this book. In this fairy tale world, the main characters all usually have some kind of a gift given to them by the fairy godmothers, and in this case, this girl gets the ability to like talk to this horse. It's just one horse who ends up being very helpful in all of their adventures. This is a Goose Girl retelling, and this book was really suspenseful. It kept me on the edge of my seat all the way up until the end, and the romance is just so beautiful. So I definitely recommend this one. Musical Voice incorporates singing or music into the story, and for this one I have Song of Ebony, which is a Snow White retelling, and obviously music is in the title, so you know that it is very integral to the story. In this fairy tale world, that is actually how magic is produced, through song. So this entire series actually has song in the title, so you can pick up any of them and that would work. Long Locks, a girl with long hair on the cover. I feel like most of the fairy tale retellings, the girl does have really long hair. I do want to recommend another retelling if you want another one to check out. It's called Before Beauty by Brittany Fichter, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and this was just fantastic. It is so good. It is deeply emotional, and it does have some Christian elements in the story. You can definitely see the allegory in it. So I think that's one of the things that really makes this fairy tale retelling special. So if you like Beauty and the Beast retellings, definitely check this one out. Snow Queen on a Quest. So for this one, I actually asked, I was like, hey, I have a Snow Queen retelling can I just read that one? I don't know if there's actually a quest in it, but it is a Snow Queen retelling. It's right here. And this one is, oh my gosh, it's so thick because it's actually 2 books in one, plus I believe there's like some short stories about it. So I actually started reading the first book because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna finish both of them before the actual readathon starts. So if I finish the first one, then I'll wait to start the second one. But Taylor did say that it doesn't have to be like they go somewhere. It could be a quest of the heart. So I feel like that fits any fairy tale retelling. You can really stretch this one a little bit. And I have to say, most fairy tale retellings do have at least a portion of the story where they have to journey somewhere or go somewhere or do something really, really important. So that would also qualify for a quest as well. Thumbelina, a short book. So I have 2 for this one. This is called Kidnapped at Dusk, which is the prequel to the Incandescent Kingdom series, the one before Married at Sunrise. I highly recommend this book. It is so good. It is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and it's set in on this tropical island, and Leialoha Humphreys did an amazing job with character development. This book did not feel lacking in any way, and I really, really enjoyed the romance, and I highly recommend you read this if you want to get into the Incandescent Kingdom series, because this book is okay to read without reading this one, but the second book, Hidden at Starshine, which I also highly recommend, it's a Cinderella retelling, you're gonna be a little bit lost if you don't read this one. So for the short book, this is a really, really great one to pick up. It's like 150 pages, something like that. The next one I have is called The White Slipper, which is another book that made my most unputdownable list of 2023. And I read this all in one sitting. It's very short. It is so swoony. It is so well developed. Probably one of the best novellas, if not the best novella I've ever read thus far. It is so good. I highly recommend it. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention earlier that you can double up on these prompts. So don't think you have to read 12 books in 1 month. That's a lot. I'm gonna try, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. So you can definitely overlap and double up on these prompts to be able to fit all of them if you want to. So that is all. I am so excited for this readathon. It starts February 1st and runs through the entire month of February, the month of Valentine's Day, the month of romance. It's just perfect. So I cannot wait. I hope you guys got some really good recommendations. That's all for today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!